Hello, I'm Michael Redmond, a professional Nine-Dango player. In this video, I'll be showing you a game between Honinbō Dosaku and Yasui Santetsu Ⅱ In the board position I'm showing here, white has just taken a ko, so black has to find a ko threat. To introduce the players, Yasui Santetsu Ⅱ was the son of the first Yasui Santetsu, who was the first leader of the Yasui house. So after Yasui Santetsu I, the second leader was Yasui Sanchi, who was still the Meijin at this time. So he was still the leader of the Yasui house and an active ko player. I'm sort of guessing with the ranks here, but they were probably below 7 dan because firstly, Dōsaku's teacher, Honinbō Doitsu, was 7 dan and active. He was in the process of challenging Yasui Sanchi's appointment to Meijin. So they were playing a 60-game match, which turned into a 20-game match, and it was the subject of my last 2 videos in this series. Yasui Santetsu was given 7 dan when Dōsaku became Meijin, and that was 10 years after this game in 1678. So I'm guessing that they're 5 or 6 dan pro at this time. I don't really have solid data about that. I chose this game because it showcases some of Dōsaku's characteristics and some of his strengths. So I'll be talking about that as we look at the game. So Dōsaku liked to play immediate approach moves, and he really liked the 5-3 point. So in a number of his games, he plays all of the mokazushi points. One of the reasons he was so successful in his games, and I used to think his opening was superior, and to a certain degree, yes, I still think so. And part of it was because he played all these mokazushi points, and his opponents didn't have good strategies to defeat them. For instance, jumping into the 3-3 point is something you see a lot in modern Go, and it's a move that AIs like a lot, and they didn't play it at the time. So it was a move that was not played at all. So this could happen. Later in the Edo era, maybe 100, 200 years later, they started playing josekis like this. In this board position, I would be perfectly happy with black to press white down like this, and something like this. It looks okay for black to me, but of course this is the kind of game where you can expect an AI to give white a fairly good score, because AIs like territory and they're really good at trashing moyos like black has on the top side. Of course, this is a no-komi game, so black does start with an advantage. So overall, it would still be a good game for black. So white didn't do that. So you don't often see his opponents jumping inside the corner, especially the Yasui players. There were a number of strong players in the Yasui school. Yasui Santetsu's brother, Chitetsu, was also a strong player. He was to become the 3rd leader of the Yasui house. And there was a Yasui Shunchi, I believe, also. So there were a number of strong players there. Another point that white could have jumped into the corner. Again, in modern Go, you see a lot of this. White takes the territory away from black. It gives white an opportunity to take a lead in territory. Again, I would feel okay with this opening with black. Also, it's an opening where white would start to get a better score than before, just because white's got some extra territory. White's starting to develop a lead in territory. And AIs really show great ideas for how to deal with this bottom side moyo that black is trying to build. So back to the game. White played this extension. This was a standard move where white is preparing for a fight on the top side, and so stopping black from pinchering at k17. These moves to the side that black is also going to play, they're the type of move that AIs don't like. And of course, the shimari in the lower left is always a big move. But Dōsaku probably feels safe that his opponent is not going to come in there. So again, this would be a point where white could have played here. It would have been interesting to see how Dōsaku dealt with that, because in ancient times, in the 17th century, I think that they mostly just played the pressing move here. So this one. While in a more modern era, you would see black playing here. A joseki like this, I'd say that started to happen maybe 100, 200 years after this. So like you see a lot of it in Shusaku's games, and he was 19th century. So white played another move. This is a big move in the lower right. and black gets the shimari. So quite often, because when he plays the mokazushi point, he gets two shimaris in the game, which is supposed to be a winning strategy for black. It was like in the Edo era, so they thought that if black with no komi getting two shimaris was really good. Here we see a slightly passive move. It has been said that Dōsaku scolded his apprentices when they played a passive move like this in the opening. And so maybe he was supposed to play something like this. Dōsaku played this move a number of times. And of course, with no komi, he was very good at keeping his lead. So white plays the big move here. Black plays an extension. So we see a double extension in the lower left, and white invaded here. So this is a point where the normal way to invade would be to play something like this, or you also see a lot of this in ancient games where white is looking to go into the left side or the bottom side, one or the other. So that would be true of this move also, which would be slightly more modern, sort of a Goseigen-like move, which is also liked by AIs, where white is looking at moves like c7 or c5 next. Or white can cut off the stone on the bottom side too. So white's looking at both the left and the bottom side while reducing from the center. So this is a modern way to play. In this variation, white is cutting off that black stone on the left side and challenging black to a fight. So Yasui Santetsu was a very strong fighting player, and it made all of his games against Dōsaku pretty exciting. Well, almost all of them. There were 15 games they played that have surviving game records. They actually played a lot more games. And when Dōsaku was a young player, Dōsaku was taking black. Probably at the time of this game in 1668, they were playing even. And eventually Dōsaku would give Santetsu a one stone handicap. Okay, so this is a common tactic, and it became a joseki. So this is a joseki where black has played d14 first to make this more forcing. So there's always the idea of black playing something like this, and sometimes white can turn it around like this. So ideally black's trying to make a base in the corner, and black is improving on that idea, because sometimes white can do this, and it can get a bit heavy. So actually in the 20th century, it was Goseigen who demonstrated that this variation is, in many cases, it's actually good for white. So it's a good result for white in many cases. And Goseigen actually sort of proved that by beating everyone while playing this joseki a lot. So already they had this move, playing the shoulder hit first, and then here, which avoids that kind of thing. So when this happens, if white plays the Tari in the corner, this is a very efficient shape for black, where black has everything connected. And so while the black stones, especially this one, making a hanging connection on the top, is very efficient, white stone here is sort of wasted. So that exchange is working, the exchange of this stone for this stone is working very well for black. And white would continue by maybe cutting here, and black would capture the left side. So looking at the overall position, this is still working great for black, because white stones in the lower left there, they're not functioning very well. They're becoming a target for black to attack. And also on the top side, this move here that reinforced white stone at h17, that's also becoming maybe slightly redundant. Okay, so white has to connect here. This is, in almost all cases, this is forced. So after this, black has the option of living in the corner. So this would be the usual move. This would make a living shape. If white attacks here later, black can usually make room for eyes here. So it's a living shape. It gets squeezed just a little bit sometimes. He was looking for a more active move. Another move that would be interesting would be this one, where black is saving the weak stone on the left side first and leaving a potential ko in the corner. In which case white would probably play something like this, and black would be attacking the lower left first. So this was the suggested sequence by Katago. It's hard to say how it compares with the game. It's a subtle difference. So black plays the ko first. So this is a very active move. I think the idea is that with this stone here reinforcing white's group on the top side, white already has an advantage on the top, in the top left area, and black's treating it as an area where black is going to try to make sabaki. So black's doesn't have much potential to attack white, and he's playing in a more active way, trying to make a trade. Sometimes he's going to allow white to build territory from that area and trying to make white redundant. So one of the ideas that Dōsaku really liked to use the idea of korigatachi, in which the opponent is over-concentrated. And so in this case, he's trying to induce white to play a lot of moves in the top left and end up over-concentrated in that area. So that's the idea behind starting this call. So white plays the call, and black has to find a call threat. So this is the position I was showing at the beginning of the video. Actually, there's a number of candidate moves for a co-threat. But black started with this one. And the advantage of this move is that the lower right is an area that was dominated by white. The stone that black had at P3 on the third line, it was sort of dead already. So because of that, black's not losing anything. If white cuts here and captures the stone. So it's a co-threat that it's a kind of a probe. It's an asking move. Where is white going to cut there or extend? And different types of aji come from that. So in this case, black would have actually some potential to play something like this to try to escape, or play something like this to reduce from above. He would have more local potential. Whereas if white plays this one, black has an Atari from the top or from the left side sometimes. So black has an extra forcing move. So usually you would play from the center like this, and stones towards the center, they can come in use later in the game. It's hard to describe exactly what's going to happen right now, but later on, it is good to have stones facing the center like that. And it didn't cost anything. It was a trade of stones. So that's why he chose that co-threat. Other potential co-threats, like there would be this move, but white's probably going to answer this because extending here is really great shape. So if white answers that, the problem with this co-threat is that it sort of gradually gains momentum, and you're not so sure say something like this happens. It becomes less and less clear which part of the board is important. So like the co-threat, the value of the moves in the area of the co-threat get bigger and bigger. The ko is still big, and you have two big areas, which really complicates the game. It's hard to choose which area is more important as the game progresses. So you're playing co-threats, but you're not sure how important the ko is anymore. It gets very difficult to judge that. So it's a kind of a complicating move. Another good co-threat would be something against the top side. So a move like this or a move like this would be, this might lead to a trade. So black would be looking to break up that, and the sacrifice on the left would be much smaller than usual. So black would be getting a part of the top side maybe. So black has all these co-threats. He started with the easiest one to play. So black's not losing anything local. If you chose any of those other moves as the co-threat you wanted to play when you saw that position, it's not a problem. They're all reasonably feasible moves. So white didn't answer it. So black got the co-threat here. So black played two moves in a row locally. If white cuts here, black will be happy to capture the one stone on the bottom side. So locally, instead of doing this, white would probably rather to try to find a way to save this stone. So we'll see how that turns out. So white played the capping move. So white's attacking on the left side with that strong position in the top left. White's attacking from the weak group. The relatively weak group for white is this group. So this is the relatively weak group. White's attacking from that direction in order to strengthen this marked group, while white pushes black against the strong group in the top left. So that's standard practice. And black played one attachment. So black is trying to start another ko, and white has a choice of attacking strongly, which was the game move, or extending. So extending would be a more positional play, just allowing black to do his stuff in the top left and switching to some other part of the board. So This is also a big point. This is how I would suggest white should move out with the one stone, putting pressure on black's group in the lower right. So a fight like this would be reasonably good for white. Instead, white plays very strongly against black's group in the top left. So his strategy here is to win the local fights. So he's doing that. And Dōsaku is going to make use of that by sacrificing. So black starts with this move. This exchange here of these two stones, this black stone for this white stone, it weakens black's group in the top left, but black's going to get a ko there anyway. So he's established the potential ko, and then he feels free to play this exchange. So this exchange is actually going to be very valuable for black's stone on the left side. So we're going to see how he uses that. In the game, he plays that one exchange and then starts the ko. So because there's a cut at h16, white has to do something active. So this is pretty much forced. And we have a ko there. So it's a ko where it's sort of awkward for white to be connecting at h18. It would be a very passive move, and black would get another forcing move at g15. So white takes the ko, and now black starts moving out on the left side. So with a ko like this, and especially this one in the top left, which is not really a direct ko, and it's actually pretty clear that the left side is more important than black taking the ko at g17. So we're going to see black continue on the left side for a while. All right, so white played here and here, and at this point, it looks like white has to give something up. So it was an option for white to, for instance, at this point, play here or connect. So a variation like this, where white takes the key point and allows black out, but moves out himself. So this would be a running fight. For the time being, it looks like white's being attacked in the lower left, but white would be running away towards black's potential territory on the bottom side, and it would be close to an even fight. So close enough. So this is one way white could have played. The reason I sort of don't like this variation is because white had to stop attacking at this point. So say white had tried to save the one stone, and that would be this move. It's going to be trouble on this side. So in this variation, white has a lot of issues on the outside, so that's not safe. Also, white's group in the lower left is pretty weak, and I've marked b7 there, which is a point that black can play at any point, and pretty much alive if black gets to play there. So black has an advantage in this fight, and white had to pull back here. So this allowed black to make a living shape. I think this is already kind of a success for black when black gets to do that. So white plays a ko threat here. This is another position where the ko is important too, but it was an option for white to play extremely actively here. So if white plays here, the idea is to split off this black group. So something like this would weaken the black group. Might be better for white to be playing it after this variation, before heating up the ko maybe. So that would be instead of this move. So something like this. So splitting off the black group in the lower right. And this would also sort of link up to it would start to link up to the group on the left too. So it would reinforce that group while attacking black in the lower right. So this would be a more active way of playing. So I'll show the other variation here, where black could play bumping against would be a way to connect underneath. But it would be slightly painful. So after this, maybe something like this. White would be connecting up to the center, or cutting off black on black would be a bit low on the bottom side. So this would be okay for white. Okay, so white jumped and black got to connect underneath. This simplified the position a little bit, and by reinforcing these stones, so they're completely connected now, it did make it create a weak point here. So because the black group is strong now, black can dive into the right side. So white takes the ko, and black does that. So black has already played a number of moves. So black did play one move on the left side. So this exchange of 4 black stones for 3 white stones, black played one move there to make a strong group on the left side. So that's one thing that black did. Black also played the ko threat in the original ko. So black got Well, it would be these 3 black stones for these 2 white stones, so he got an extra move there. And actually just the 1 white stone. So he got 2 extra moves there with the ko threat. And now he's played a 3rd move here. So he's played a lot of moves. Well, he's going to lose the ko in the top left, but he's played a lot of moves. So it was already black's plan from the start. And that's how it's working here. White played here. And this is kind of a threat against black's group on the left. And black is going to take the ko on the way to defending the left side. So we'll see that happen. White has already killed the black group, and black is just trying to get 1 extra forcing move here. So even if black could have won that ko, so for instance, he's sort of out of ko threats, but say white had connected, black still would have had trouble escaping there. So it's not as if black's going to try to save the group. He'd probably be playing here in this case anyway. So he's going to sacrifice the stones in the top left. And he's still trying to build a living shape. But the fact is he didn't have a good ko threat, and so he just played here. And so up to this point, so black has played 3 moves in the lower left, and he's added 1 stone to the left side to make a living group now. This stone is sort of an extra that came on the way with the ko. So black's got a lot of moves on the board in important places, while white finished the ko in the top left. And it is an impressive territory that white made there. It's very solid and big, but it's only part of the board where white has an advantage at this point. So black has succeeded in giving white a slightly over-concentrated shape, and he controls the rest of the board. So black has kept his advantage, basically. Surprisingly enough, white hasn't fallen behind that much, but because there's no komi, it of course is a winning variation for black at this point. So white decided he had to start something. He played here. So this would be the tesuji for connecting underneath. In this position, it's actually a pretty important move to connect out from the corner, because the corner it's pretty close to what we sometimes call the carpenter's square. It's a shape that's not always 100% alive. So the corner is slightly vulnerable, and it would be an idea to play something like this. So instead, white pulled back here. So white's trying to attack black's group in the lower right. It's this strong fighting style that makes the games between Dōsaku and Santetsu so exciting. And it's also, he was probably playing to Dōsaku's strengths. Actually, his strongest point is his calculation. So Dōsaku had insanely strong calculation. His reading was extremely deep and precise. Most of his games he wins by out-calculating his opponent. So that's something that we're going to be seeing from here on as the middle game starts. So black started with this move. So for the time being, it looks like black is trying to connect up at S8. It also makes a threat against white's group in the corner. So say white plays somewhere else. This corner just isolated, it's not alive. So this is an example of how black could kill the corner group. And it's a dead shape. So this would be a dead shape. So locally, white needs to defend that. White played once here. That's a peep. And with this exchange, white has stopped black from connecting underneath. So white defended the corner. If black tries to connect underneath, that stone there creates a kaketsugi, a hanging connection, or some people call it tiger's mouth, where white has connected up on the 4th line. So that's why that stone at Q7, that's how it is functioning. So white defended the corner, and black starts the attack here. So this is looking at the vital shape point here. So if black gets to play both of these points, white's group on the left is really in bad shape. So white answered that, and now black peeps. White pushed through, which looks reasonably good. And the idea is that if black gets to play this move and white has to connect here, now this exchange on the left, it's given white bad shape. So white has the empty triangle shape, and that marked white stone is not in the ideal point. So plays the knight's move, putting more pressure on white on the right, and white pushes through. So this is where black played this move. Black still has the option of playing an Atari here and saving the group, but this would allow white to defend the center. So he wants to find something more active, and he has a forcing move here. So this is threatening to kill the corner. So say something like this happens, and black can kill the corner with this move. So white answered that. And now black plays here. And because he has this connection on the second line, and that stone on the first line is helping that, so because black has that stone on the first line, black can connect like this. And because of that, black could play at O7 to cut white off on the right. So he's starting a fight there. But actually, he's not going to save those two stones, or at least not yet. Well, they died in the end, but he's not going to save those two stones anyway. So like this would be a direct way of fighting. And maybe white would have a local advantage in this fight. This would still be an idea, but he plays here. So he's going to focus more on splitting the two white groups. So splitting the white group on the left away from the white group on the right. And he's probably calculated the territory at this point. It could be that he's already calculating a winning sequence, which would be pretty impressive because it's about 60 moves to get to the point where I would say the game is over. But I'm not sure about that because he still has options. He has other ways to win the game at this point, so he hasn't made his final decision maybe. So black is threatening to cut at M7, and white answered here, and black jumps out. So black's trying to split the groups on the right and the left, and white countered by pushing through and cutting. And this is where I'd say he had to calculate to the end of the sequence. So this is probably where he made his final decision, and he calculated about a 40 move sequence, which is going to be the main sequence of the game. And also it hits a weak point in Katago, because Katago had a lot of trouble understanding why black was winning, and I think Katago was wrong. So, okay. So first of all, the way Katago would win this game would be just to play here, and white gets to cut and capture in the center, and black would have more territory. So this would be a way to win by territory by expanding the bottom side, simplifying stuff. Black 5 is an important move that sort of gets rid of any aji in the top right area, and white's going to have trouble expanding in the center. Like if it was a komi game, maybe black would be in trouble, but with no komi, it's going to be easy enough for black to win. So that's how Katago would have won the game. Black pushes here. So the idea with this move, if white connects like this, black's going to play here. And this is already a crash for white. And because white's going to have trouble connecting out there, white has no way of capturing these black stones. So these 4 black stones, they're safe. So if white tries to come from this side, black can push through here. So there's no way for white to capture those stones. White can push through here and get 1 eye, but white can't make 2 eyes with that group. So white has only 1 eye and a bad connection in the center. And black has a forcing move here threatening N9. White has to defend against that. It looks really bad. So this is just a crash for white. So white has to do better than that. And white's strongest move was the game move, where white pushed through here. So this is threatening the 4 black stones in the center. So next, white's going to capture those 4 stones if black escapes. Now white has extended the liberties of those white stones, so white can play here and capture the 2 black stones. So this would be bad for black. So black pushes through here and has cut off white's group on the left. White has to push out, and black played this exchange. So black needed to play this move to complete the connection of these stones to black stones in the corner. So he needed this forcing move. It does create an issue for black's group on the left, which I'll talk about later. It's not important in the overall thing because, for one thing, this threat is still a threat to white's group on the right, and you might notice white's group in the bottom side, around here, there's still a chance for black to try to kill this with the 4 stone shape being a dead shape. So white needs 1 more eye for that group too. So that point I've marked at N9, that's an important point. It's an attack that black is threatening to do. So black starts by threatening to surround the white group. So white pushes through and is escaping. Black plays the double hane. White has only 1 way to escape in the center. And for instance, if white plays here, it's going to be difficult to escape. Everything is connected. They're all hanging connections. So that's working for black. So he has to play like this. And black had to extend. So if black cuts here, white can capture these black stones like this. So that would be good for white. So black has to extend. So it was a forced sequence. So throughout this sequence, Katago thought that this was a winning variation for white, actually. And I think Katago was wrong. So there's something that's relatively easy for me to see, is that the left and the right are miai in this position. Black is still threatening to play this move at some point. So this would, locally, it would kill the white group. Black probably can't do it quite yet, because when white moves out here, black's in trouble on both sides. So for instance, so basically something like this, black's going to be in trouble in the center now. So black can't do it yet, and he starts with this. So by creating another issue on the right side, he's going to gain a stone, a tempo, you might say, if you use that word, to kill something on the left or the right, one or the other. So white answered here. And up to this point, Katago is giving white a winning percentage. Black just has to save the group in the center. There's this here, which is the local threat, but black's going to save the center first. And whatever white does, black's just going to keep that connection. So something like this, even if white pulls back here. Black can even afford to be spending one move to make that a safe group, because black is still threatening. If white plays on that side, black can kill white on the left. So that would kill white. If white does something on the left, say like this, black can play here. So this is the threat that was the winning threat that black had. Locally, white can win by one move, but white has lost all of these stones on the left, and black would just need to add a move to the center. Black could play some defensive move like this, or maybe he could play at N17. That would be a big move also. Okay, so in the game, white connected here, and black connected here. So this was establishing a threat on the left side. If white answers with something like this again, black will play here, and this will kill white's group on the left. When black connected, white defended this side, so this sort of starts to capture black in the top left, and black did this sequence. And white had to answer that, and black, at this point, black just played a big move. Black did have the option of running out, but it would potentially complicate things, so white might start doing this. So let's just finish the game here, and white played here. So this isn't a series attack, it's probably just an endgame sequence where black got to connect underneath and showed a final tesuji. I do want to finally say something about the left side. There were some issues on the left side. So if white had played here, the timing of this is very tricky, because white has to play it before white has saved the group in the center. But also there's the issue of race to capture, semi-I. But sometimes if white had played it with precise timing, then white could have played this exchange. And say white wins the local ko and black connects, then white can play either here or here, would create a ko. So this would create a ko like this. And so it would be like this, and eventually black has to fight a ko here. So this would be a ko, but in actuality, at this stage of the game, black's not going to play that way anymore, and is just going to dodge the ko. So something like this, and it would be not much of a gain for white. In fact, white's taken 2 stones, gained some territory. This would be super efficient for white if the white group was still in danger, but it's not so important after white has saved the group in the center. So that would be one reason for Dōsaku to just simply sacrifice these stones in the center by giving white these 2 moves. He doesn't want to attack white anymore, because he just wants to dodge the attack like this. Also, there's the idea of wedging here first. In this case, black has multiple ways to try to live. So black can play here, and black can capture the 1 stone on the 4th line, or black can play here. And this is also alive. So this wouldn't be such a serious attack. In the old times, people like to have the opponent play a tesuji or something before they resigned. So this could be a point where white resigned, if we believe that source. We don't really know if it was a 10-point difference or a resignation. So this was a game where Dōsaku showed his reading ability. At some point in the fight in the center, he had to make a decision. So I'm saying maybe it was the push here, which was at this point is about 50 moves in the past. He probably read out this whole variation as a winning variation. So at least up to the point where he was threatening on this side and threatening to cut white off on this side. Making Mii of those 2 points was a winning sequence. So that was a branch point where he had to be confident of his ability to finish the game. So thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more videos, probably more Dōsaku videos and more videos of the great players of this era.